This is Hannibal here from SWEFury.com, and this is the Inside SWE Fury podcast with head official and matchmaker James Beard, and fresh off of a successful title defense this weekend, the SWE Fury world champion Charlie Haas back on the show, who also recently made a big challenge. So we'll let you guys get into that.
Yeah, I mean, instead of people coming up to challenge you, you're just making the challenge yourself, aren't you, Charlie? It's kind of backwards. How's it going, bud?
Well, you know what it is. I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. You're 100% right. You know what? Since I became the champion, I've stated that I'm the only real champion that can wrestle. That, let's be honest with you, man. There's a lot of people out there that say they can do this and say they can do that. It's a load of crap. Okay, I'm not going to name organizations, not going to name federations or promotions, or I'm not even call them out. Everyone knows who they are. They're seen on TV. All right, you can see through their work. You can see it's total bullshit. Mine isn't. So, you know, I've had an open door policy. I mean, come over, put your title up against mine, and let's go. Or I challenge it's an open door policy. Or just let's see how good your work really is. Get in the ring and let's go. But no one's taking that to heart. No one has stood up. No one has stepped up. So, sorry about that. Okay, no one has stepped up. So right now, I'm going to start calling people out. Okay, so I didn't want to, but I've sat back. I've watched these YouTubers. Logan and Jason Paul. So I've been watching them I've been watching them the whole time. It's Logan and Jake Paul. I've been watching them the whole time, calling people out, and they say they're professional boxers. Now, I knew they wrestled in high school. I know that. Okay. Know they wrestled in high school. Okay, that's a big difference from wrestling in high school to college. They say they're professional boxers. Okay. They've probably taken some boxing classes down there at, Title Boxing or Taibo. I mean, so they probably are pretty good with their hands, or they probably have an idea. But, the last time Jake, Paul fought Ben Askren. I mean, Ben Askren was out of shape. He didn't look good. He knocked him out. But it was ridiculous that that's the largest selling buy rate in boxing history, bigger than Pacquiao and Mayweather. That's where boxing has come. So, I want to call them out. I want to bring them into our ring, into our world, and try that. I did it on the last pay-per-view, and I haven't got a response at all. Instead, what they did is they showed up at the UFC to call out Daniel Cormier. Now, come on. Daniel Cormier, he was a good wrestler. He was a good fighter in the UFC, but he was never the best. Why? Because when he wrestled Cael Sanderson when he was at Oklahoma State, Cael Sanderson was at Penn State, all right, he knew he could never beat Cael Sanderson, so he just did enough to get by. I've never once in my life seen him in shape. Okay, he just said, okay, I'll just take second, and I'll just lose to Cael Sanderson. I'll just cruise along there at second place. Same thing when he got to the UFC. He knew he couldn't beat John Jones. I don't care how much he cries and how much he begs that he worked hard for it. That he didn't look the part. He never showed up in shape. He got beat by John Jones constantly. I've never once seen him show up in shape. Once. And when I mean showing up in shape, I mean looking hard. I mean looking like you have the eye of the tiger in your eye. Not sitting there thinking, hey, you know what? I'm just going to, I know I'm going to lose, so I'm just going to, hang in there and do the best I can. That's bullshit, man. That's the wrong guy you need to call out. Jake and Paul Logan need to be calling out Charlie Haas, or they'd be calling out people that actually want to fight, that have that eye of the tiger, that want to kick their ass. So since they aren't, I'm calling them out.
Well, let's give folks a little bit of a background. I mean, the ones that don't follow this Paul character, he's really kind of a media guy, right? And he got involved in fighting somehow. Is that the background, or do you know?
So Jake and Logan Paul they're YouTubers, and they made very successful at it. Very, 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 very. Jake and Logan Paul are very successful YouTubers, very successful with social media, and they got a great buzz, man. They got a great following. Now what they've done is they've been able to take that social media platform. They built a huge fan base, And now they're going out and they are showing that they can box, that they can, they first start off, helping to book not book, but helping get the, to get the Mayweather and the Conor McGregor fights over. Yeah, doing that through social media, and they would get a percentage of that, and they became very successful. Now they've gone out to where they are actually showcasing their whether it's their wrestling ability, whether it's their boxing ability, but their fighting ability, their combative style. What they're doing is they are actually taking that with their social media platform, and they are going out and challenging other people, and they're using the fan base they built to buy into the buy rates for them to make money. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant business plan, but they're calling out the wrong people. They're doing it just enough so they can win, knowing that they can beat these people. So they just keep getting momentum. So they're not calling out the right people.
Basically, these are a couple of guys who are good, better than average athletes,
right?
Who can fight a little bit, know a little bit about fighting, and they're trying to capitalize on that by challenging well-known fighters that may be on the downside a little bit. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. That's what I definitely agree. I think they're going after the fighters that were either on the downside, or they know the fighters that just don't have that don't have it anymore. The fighters they know that aren't going to give them 100%. The fighters that aren't going to actually get in the ring and do the work that build up to that pay-per-view fight or that fight. And that's who they're going after. And Cormier is one of them. Cormier is great on the mic. He's a great representative for UFC. He just, like I've said, when it comes to amateur wrestling, he knew he could never beat Cael Sanderson. So he just said, you know what? He could have gone to another weight and won the national title there, but he decided, no, I'll just take second to Cael. He could have also gone to another weight and dodged John Jones and say, okay, I'm going to keep the title there. But he never did. He just said, you know what? I'm just going to stay there and I'll just do enough to get by, man. I mean, come on. I mean, you can tell when a guy goes in the ring if they're going to give you a chance or not. The way they look, the way that that have the eye of the tiger, and I'm sorry, I never saw it in Daniel Cormier. I was never a fan of his. So
you're literally calling out either one of those guys. Is that right?
One of it. I mean, dude, I'll call out Cormier. I mean, it's like I'm a big amateur wrestler. I mean, I wrestled in college. So, I mean, I'm from the great state of Oklahoma where amateur wrestling is God. So, yeah, I was on one of the greatest high school wrestling teams ever. So I was with Jaworski, with Heckle, Schluchter. I mean, you name it, I was part of that team. I was on the junior national team. We had one of the best junior national teams in the history. Pat Smith, Robbie Haddon, J.J. McGrew, Charlie Haas, Trip Rogers. I can go on. Jerry Best. I mean, you name it, I've done it. Okay. So yeah, I'm calling out them. I'm like, it's ridiculous. Fight somebody that is ready to fight. Okay. Jake and Logan Paul. I mean, I'm here. Okay. Don't call out somebody that that's only going to give you 50% that they're going to whip their ass. Fight somebody that's going to give you 100%.
One thing I've noticed about MMA over the years, when it first started, there was a lot of wrestling involved, and wrestlers actually kind of dominated it.
Right.
It's gotten to where now it's basically just a fist fight. That's pretty much what they do.
Okay, so amateur wrestling is the foundation, I believe, of all MMA. Okay?
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Because I'm a coach, and I have taken a lot of amateur wrestlers, and I have taken them, and you can add an MMA style or an MMA style or an MMA, any type of, like, whether it's jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, judo, whatever mixed martial art you want to add. It's easy to add to an amateur wrestler. That's why amateur wrestlers are so successful. Johnny Hendricks went to the same high school as I did, Edmond, Oklahoma. Coach Huff was his coach, so was mine. Okay. You also have Dan Henderson. Come on. Randy Couture from Oklahoma State University. All right. You have some of the greatest amateur wrestlers went on to be UFC champions. All right. So it is very hard, though, to take a jiu-jitsu player, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu player, put them in an amateur wrestling match. And I've had this problem. I've had kids that they'll come in and I'll talk to their parents. Was your son or daughter ever done any type of wrestling? No, they do jiu-jitsu. Okay, that's great. Well, you know what? That doesn't help because jiu-jitsu teaches you to go into your guard. It's a little bit more methodical. It's slower pace, and they pull you down to your back. Amateur wrestling, it's explosive. It's more of a sprint, and you want to keep from going to your back. All right. So it's totally two different styles. It's easier to take an amateur wrestler and to teach them to be more of a successful MMA, well-rounded MMA player or MMA practitioner than it does for a jiu-jitsu or any type of MMA practitioner to come in to be an amateur wrestler. It's just the truth. Look at Brock Lesnar. Look at Bobby Lashley. These guys are, they at short notice have gone and turned the MMA world upside down. Whether it's a Bellator, Bobby Lashley, or if it was with Brock Lesnar in the UFC. I mean, you're talking about guys that were successful, very successful in MMA careers, like, Frank Mir and fucking Brock Lesnar whooped his ass after the second match, man. I mean, come on. Amateur wrestling is where it is, okay? Now, the problem is once the amateur wrestlers get into the UFC or the MMA, once they get used to, okay, they get away from the amateur wrestling and they say, okay, I'm just going to be a boxer or I'm just going to box or stand up. And they get away from their style that got them there, that's where they have problems, okay? I'm not saying they're great with their hands. I'm just saying stick with what got you there. Stick with getting it to the ground, like Khabib. I mean, Conor McGregor, he's great on his feet. Khabib did what he did best. Shot the double leg, tied his legs up, and he beat the hell out of McGregor. I mean, that's it. He's a wrestler. He's stuck to the game plan. All right, so it may be a little boring. You may not like it. The buy rates might be so good. But you know what? It's success. It doesn't matter what you think when you walk away with the title.
And that's kind of the point I was trying to make. A lot of the early MMA champions were basically amateur wrestlers, and they did that because they did exactly what you're talking about. And it seems like because of TV, maybe because of the I guess the demand of the crowd, they want something exciting and that kind of thing. So they start striking, and striking really isn't their cup of tea, and that's where they fail.
You're 100% right.
Is that not right? Okay.
No,
okay. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right,
yeah.
I mean, James, you've been watching this is longer than everybody. I mean, you've been around from, you've seen it from, a lot of amateur wrestlers have come out of college and gotten into pro wrestling because at the time there wasn't MMA. I mean, look at the famous Briscoe brothers, Danny Hodge. They went from amateur wrestling into pro wrestling because there was not a platform called UFC or Bellator or MMA. There wasn't, So I mean, you've seen it at you've seen it from the beginning of not beginning of time, but the beginning of the MMA era. Yes, I mean, a lot of amateur wrestlers said, "Hey, this is a way for me to, if I don't make it to the Olympics or I can't make my name winning a gold medal, all right, I can't make the Olympic team, I have another platform to go on to where I can make some money and and get my name out there. Take it like let's look at the pioneers of MMA. Randy Couture. Let's start with Rico Chiapparelli out in California. He was a famous two-time national champion at Iowa. He started Raw, which was Real American Wrestlers, which was out in California. He brought in Dan Henderson. He brought in Randy Couture. He brought in, to name it and there was Van Arsdale. There's a bunch of other wrestlers that he took that he showed them how to take amateur wrestling and mix it with boxing and submission wrestling. And he was one of the first pioneers in coaching to bring amateur wrestling into mixed martial arts.
I'm probably in the minority a little bit because I really stopped watching MMA because the striking bored me. if that makes any sense. I appreciated the technique and the wrestling part of it because there was strategy involved and the wrestling to me was more than just somebody knocking somebody out. I mean, you find some big bad street guy that gets lucky with a punch and knocks anybody out. But right. With wrestling, you got to know what you're doing.
No, you're 100% right. So, that's where, at the beginning of the UFC before and I'm not here to, to give a history on MMA, but, before the Frida brothers were even bought into the UFC, but before Dana White got involved, it was one weight and the tournament was long and the rounds were like 10 minutes long and you'd have there was like a big weight difference and it got boring. You get Tank Abbott fighting a Hoist Gracie. I mean, it was just there was no psychology, there was no game plan. It was just okay, whatever happens, and that
right.
died really quick. Dana White came along with a vision. They changed it. They put by weights. They changed it, shortened the rounds. what they've done is they've tried to take Vince McMahon's, take some characters like Vince McMahon did, build around those characters, and try to showcase it, like putting a WWE era aura around it, and then with their UFC style, and then that's what you have to present day MMA. Now the problem is that people don't stick that anymore. Champions are changing in and out, so you don't have a chance to to build up the characters around it. Why is that? Because everyone goes away from the style that they believe in. They're going into, and I'm not saying there's, you can't train for a good luck punch or a lucky punch or anything like that. You got to be well-rounded. You got to be able to defend yourself at all levels with knowing every type of mixed martial art. You got to be good or above better than everyone else when it comes to everything. Your master may be amateur wrestling, but you got to be able to defend a punch, defend the kick, be able to defend the guard and get out of submissions. But if you stick to, like, for me, I'd stick to amateur wrestling. I know if I get you to the ground, I know if I put the legs in, or if I can keep you on the ground and my pounding ground, I'm going to win as long as I stick to what got me there. But it's the psychology, and it's also the game plan. You got to stick to your game plan. You can't veer from it saying, all right, man, I feel like I've been really good in the camp with my punches, man. I'm gonna just stand up, man. No, you don't want to veer away from your game plan. That's why it's very important to have a very good crew, a very good coach, and a very good team that makes you stick to your game plan, especially when it comes.
I 100% agree with you. And that's, like I said, I'm probably in the minority because I know MMA is popular, but I just said, to me, when you have basically a punching situation now, it's a street fight, basically what it is, and there's not, not saying there's no technique. I'm just saying that it's taken away the strategy of wrestling, and I always believe that a wrestler will beat a boxer if it's just straight up.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal is, so here's I'm calling out, Jake and Logan Paul. I mean, it could be either one of them. I really don't care. It could be a handicap match. I don't care. I really don't care. If they both want to fight, Rodney Mack, he's another one, a legit actual amateur shooter that you can fight the other one, who's part of the SWE roster. What I'm saying is, you both amateur wrestle. Let's do an amateur wrestling match, or let's go amateur wrestling. Let's do a mixed martial arts match, or let's do boxing. I don't care. I myself have been able to. I've been training with my hands for a long time. I used to do Muay Thai. I know Rodney Mack has. So I have no problem going up on my feet. I'd like to do it all to where we do an MMA. So it goes from, let's showcase who's better at what. Let's do it. If I take you to the ground, I keep you on the ground, I won't beat your ass. That's what my specialty is amateur wrestling. I know they've wrestled, so I don't know why they wouldn't back out from it. These guys, they got a lot on their side. They got youth. All right. They got a bigger, strong fan base right now. But you know what? Why would they back around? At least with me, they know they're going to get 100%. Why would they back out from this call out? With me, they're going to get 100%. They're going to get somebody that's going to show up in shape and that's going to be competitive and give them the fight they want. That's somebody that's out of shape, that's fucking on the downside, that fucking doesn't even know if he really wants to be there or not, that just is happy of taking second.
So the challenge is out there. If they want to step up and take it, then it's a serious challenge. I know you pretty well.
I'm not kicking around. Yeah, kicking around. This is a serious challenge. What I say is what I do. And I do very well. All right, I wrestle. I'll put the title up on them, whatever they want. I'll put it all up. I want Jake or Logan Paul right now, or like Cormier. Maybe how we can do it. We can do a round robin for the night. Bring Cormier in. He can be the warm up.
There's a fan that wanted to know what were your thoughts on Batista's MMA match, because I know you must have known Batista pretty well in your WWE run.
Well, okay, so Batista and I are very good friends. First of all, very happy for his success. Look what he's done, man. He's an Avenger. He's making a lot of money. So, I think he wanted to try the MMA. It takes a lot of balls to get in there and do it, and he did it. He went ahead and did it. But then also at the time he did it, and I think he wanted to build for the next match. His career started taking off. So would you rather make, $5 to $10 million a movie, what he's doing now, or go in the ring and get beat up like that? Not that he'd get beat up, just, your body gets beat up. I think he made the right decision. I mean, he still has another Guardians of the Galaxy movie coming out, and and who knows what else. I mean, onward and upward for Batista. I mean, he's the type of guy that has set goals, and whatever he said he was going to do, he's accomplished. He said he wanted to fight in an MMA match, he did it. I was there. I remember backstage, I would, in between when we would be overseas in Europe, I would train with him. We train boxing, we train amateur wrestling. He'd ask me to show him some stuff, what I thought would help him, and that's what we would do to stay in shape on the road.
Did you consider him legit?
I think, you know what? I think at first people didn't, but as he got more and more serious, yeah, he started getting more legit. Now, is he as legit as Brock or Bobby? No, because you know what? He was a little bit older on him, but he also knew that, his acting career was taking off. So, but he just did it to, he wanted to prove to himself that he could do it,
Yeah.
But, hey, just to get in the ring and do it, said a lot. Now Rodney Mack, he's fought MMA, and he's definitely legit. So yeah, I mean, let's talk about him.
Well, there's no question that Rodney Mack is for real. I've known him, like I said, I've known that guy since he stepped in a wrestling ring, and I know how tough he is, and you're right, he's the real deal. There's no question about that.
Him and I have traveled the road together. I mean, hell, him and I. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have got brought up to TV for WWE. Him and I were doing a match, and Arn Anderson saw it. And as soon as he stopped it, right after the match was over, he called us over and said, "You guys are going up," and that was it, man. We traveled the road. I mean, it was so. I mean, our history goes way back. If I was going to be in a street fight, that's the one I'd be with. So.
Now you have a big match this weekend in Dallas at the Statler Hotel. I got the poster for it here. You versus Ryan Mantell. A lot of fans have been wanting to see that. It's a special event, the Statler Hotel, downtown Dallas, this Saturday night. Any thoughts on that match coming up?
Well, I mean, fans are going to get their money's worth. I'll tell you that. We're going to tear that sumbitch down. Ryan Mantell, I've known him for a long time. He's a hell of a talent. Physical. He's the type of guy that you want to have in the ring because he pushes you as hard as anyone can push you. He pushes you to the next level. All right. He is he's going to be a tough match. It really is. But don't think for one instance that this title is going around his waist. All right. I worked too hard to get here. I know what it takes to be on top, and I'm going to stay on top. Ryan Mantell, he can come with, he can train as hard as he wants. He can say whatever he wants. But I'm telling you, when the match is all said and done, I'm going to walk out with that title, and he's going to know he was in one hell of a war.
Well, he's been in a pretty intense situation with Max Castellanos.
Yes, sir.
And those two guys are pretty much, I mentioned on commentary the other night on TV that they kind of compared it to Buzz Sawyer and Tommy Rich back a few years ago when those guys got so involved with each other and so intense in their rivalry that it almost ruined their careers. And I wonder, do you have any thoughts on that? How many can something like that sidetrack you?
I'm such a historian, but I'd say it's back when Piper lost his hearing for the U.S. title. Wasn't that Piper and Buzz Sawyer in that match? That feud? I mean, they were taking pieces of each other all over the place, and it was that's what I related to. I mean, you're right. You're 100% right. It's going back to the old, NWA days where the wrestlers there were left body parts in the ring. I think that match, and that's another thing. That's something I have going for me. Don't think I haven't been sitting behind the scenes not watching that. I have. I have watched what Max has done to Ryan Mantell. And I know exactly. So I'm the type that's going to watch my opponent, scout him, and I'm going to capitalize off what's going to benefit me. But I'm going to capitalize off, whatever injury they have. And I know Max has definitely put a whoop in it, and I know he's hurt Moonshine physically. So I'm going to capitalize off that. I'm going to go after that body part that's hurt. I'm going to render it useless. I'm going to beat him with it, and that's my game plan. And I'm going to stick with it. So for him to go in there feeling 100%, 110%, we know that's not true. because Max is another one. Max is, I love watching Max. I love because I put him up there with Rodney Mack, and I put him up there with me. He's an angry human being. When he gets in the ring, he showcases that. He goes after the body. He goes after whatever it takes to win, and he makes sure that he demoralizes and hurts his opponent. He's another one that I'd go walk down the alley with. If I was going down a dark alley, it'd be him and Rodney Mack. I'll tell you that right now. Those two right there, you can't lose in a fight. You have those two on your side. But I'm going after Moonshine, and whatever Max is ever. As a matter of fact, I may even reach out to Max and ask him what he saw, what's bothering Ryan from the last match, and go after that. So that's a great game plan. Thanks, James.
There was some controversy in Rodney Mack's match this weekend. He had to show a little bit of that MMA fire. Did you happen to catch any of that match this past weekend?
That was I was getting ready to. My match was on right after that, so I was not by the monitor. I did not see what happened, but please enlighten me. I knew there was some type of altercation afterwards, though.
I won't get into it too much. We'll wait for the video to come out, but that's something that
all I know is that
showed exactly what you were talking about there.
All I know is that Rodney ended up retaining his television title, so we see that one. We see that he won on that. But Rodney's the one. Rodney doesn't. He. Let's just face it, man. Rodney's a street fighter. He's a shooter. Hooker, whatever you guys want to call it, hook you, whatever, he is what he is, and he's not afraid of anybody. And I mean, like I said,
one of the things we were intent on when SWE Fury began is to make sure that we featured competition, and that's what it's all about. And sometimes when you do that, things do get a little out of hand. I mean, that just happens. And some guys are a little bit more aggressive than other guys, and that situation happens. But it's just one of those things that's going to have to be expected, and we live with it. That's what it's all about. And I think the fans appreciate that because we're not pussyfooting around. It's guys getting in there and fighting.
James, you're 100%
win or lose.
Okay, look at. I mean, we're not out there showcasing a boy band. All right, I'm not out there showing somebody that can slap their leg. I'm out there snapping somebody's leg. Okay. That's what I hate. Like, you can go at all these other promotions and it looks like fucking Circus Soleil. It's ridiculous. Okay. I'm proud to be a part of SW. You know why? Because the roster showcases men and ladies that actually can go into a bar and whoop some fucking ass. Okay. It's not a boy band. It's not somebody like, well, I got into professional wrestling because you really don't have to get hit and kick anybody. That's bullshit, man. SWE is not like that, man. SWE is the real thing. They have, for instance, I'm for real. I'm the real fucking champion that can only wrestle. Rodney Mack, he's a real television champion that can whoop someone's ass. Okay. I mean, we actually can back up what we say. It's the old days of like Harley Race, Jack and Jerry Briscoe, Dory Funk Jr. I mean, but Cowboy Bob Orton Sr. I mean, you have legit, really true badasses that have decided to go into this realm of combative sports, which is professional wrestling, and we are very good at what we do, and we take it to we cross that line to where we can really hurt somebody at any God-given moment. We can, and that's why I'm calling Logan. Go ahead.
Oh, and I was just going to say, and that is purposely what we intended to present when we started this. Now, and like I said, every individual is different. Every guy is going to have a little different kind of approach to it, and everybody's going to have a little different intensity. But the whole point is it's competition. That's what it's all about. It's wins and losses mean something,
right?
And if you get into a competition when it doesn't mean anything, then what's the use in watching it?
No, then why? That's what it is. It's like, all right, so this right here means I'm the best at what I do. This also means that I'm getting paid more than everybody else. This also means that this is what puts food on the table for my kids. This is what puts clothing on their back, okay? And this is how serious I am. Like, I want to prove to everybody that I'm that good. So when I call out people like, Jake and Logan Paul or Daniel Cormier or whoever else there is, any other heavyweight champion from any other promotion, when I call you out, I'm doing it because that's how dedicated and how serious I am of being successful and being the best there is. All right. I take it very seriously when someone gets in the ring and they want to try to take this from me, because what you're doing is you're going to be stealing from my kids. All right. And that's not going to happen. Everyone knows that I'm divorced. Everyone knows I'm a single father. Everyone knows that I've lost everything and I'm building it back up. So this has been a godsend, a second chance for me. And right now, I'm defending this no matter what, who it is. That's why I'm calling them out. Okay. I want to, you know what? I'm going to prove to everybody why I'm the best, because I'm not one that runs from fights. I'm not one that denies anybody the opportunity to get this title. I want everybody to get a shot, and I want to prove when it's all said and done that I was a fighting champion. And not only that, but I defended the title against everybody, all oncomers, newcomers, whoever it was, whoever showed up got their ass whipped.
There's some fans on here that want to know your opinion of both Bob Backlund and Billy Robinson, two other amateur wrestlers that became pros.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. Bob Backlund, another one, okay? Now, he came in right after Bruno Sammartino, WWF. He became the WWF champion. He stuck with his amateur wrestling, and he was very successful. He held the title for a long, long time until he lost it to the Iron Sheik. And then Hulk Hogan came and dethroned the Iron Sheik, and then the rest was history for pro wrestling. That's when Vince Jr. took it over. Bob Backlund was a very successful. He won the Division II National Championship. Very great amateur wrestler. His work ethic was unbelievable. He could not be broken down in the ring. He was such a physical specimen, and all he would do was just wrestle. Okay.
And he held that title about 6 years, I think.
Yeah, he held it for a good 6 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Billy Robinson. He doesn't get enough credit as people should give it to him. He's trained a lot of successful wrestlers that went on to make big names, made a lot of money in the professional wrestling. But he was an amateur wrestler up in Minnesota, and I mean, this guy was legit. Right? He just didn't have the size or the height as a lot of the guys coming in at the time, because back then they were really trying to look for bigger guys and all that. But he was a legit shooter, and he was a hell of a wrestler, and he was a great technician, but he was also a great coach. And he trained. I mean, the guys that were successful today, a lot of them have to owe it to him for what he did.
He had a little bit of an attitude sometimes too. If he needed to or wanted to, he could get a little rough in the ring.
Oh, at any given moment, if he wanted to, he could stretch you like that. He could snap you like that. I mean, people knew. I mean, okay, the Iron Sheik, he's another one. He took the silver medal in the Olympics in '68. On any given moment, he could have changed it around too. He could have snapped your leg. He could have really put it to you. He could have changed the outcome of professional wrestling if he wanted to in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize how good an amateur he was, and also a teacher, by the way. I remember back in probably the late '70s, early '80s, Fritz actually brought him in to work with the boys, his sons, Kevin and David in particular. Okay, and he helped train them a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he is and that's one thing is when he came over from Iran, and at the time. It was, everyone knew the Iran hostage crisis. The hostages were being held by, our hostages from our American embassy were being held in Iran. And he came over because he fled Iran. And so he was trying to make his way over here. And when he did, the only thing he could do was he was teaching amateur wrestling and helping the professional wrestlers, learn about amateur wrestling to make them better and well-rounded. It was at the AWA. And like you said, Fritz brought him in to help work with the Von Erich boys, because they were successful in amateur wrestling in high school in Texas, So, he is a very good coach, teacher. And like I said, man, any given moment, people didn't realize what he could actually do in the ring. Like, he could change in a second. He could have altered a lot of things in professional wrestling.
I think because of the way wrestling has evolved in the professional side, and the styles that you see on TV now, the flying around and all the leg slapping you're talking about and all that stuff, I think it's brought in a different generation of guys that don't have that amateur background. We've been talking about a lot of guys that from the days gone by that started in professional wrestling, but they all had a legit wrestling backgrounds, and that used to be probably the case with most of them instead of just the very few we see now.
Right. Well, and I agree 100%. But let me go ahead and let me also correct you on this, or correct. So with amateur wrestling, so everyone knows I coach an amateur wrestling club in Allen, Texas, called Best Train Wrestling. We just won the 2021 youth state title. Not only did that, but our high school team, as of last weekend, we won our 12th straight state title and our first women's state title. So we are dominating the state of Texas from youth all the way up to high school. Now,
and then I should say you're coaching these guys, right?
I'm coaching these guys. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So there's a big congratulations there.
Thank you. So what we've done is, we've also seen what makes an amateur wrestler successful. Okay. The number one thing has to be no fear, and you have to be able to control your body, and you have to have ligament, tendon, and a muscle strength. Okay. Now, at a young age, we can't teach these kids to go in there and lift weights like from kindergarten up to 8th grade. It's just you don't have them lifting weights. All right. You may start them in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So what do? We put them in gymnastics. We teach gymnastics. Okay. So we've taken gymnastics, and we add that to the beginning of our wrestling practice, and we have these kids walking on their hands, doing front flips, round off cartwheels to back handsprings, back flips, running up the walls. But so by the time they get to lifting weights, their ligament and tendon strength are so strong from the gymnastics, and their flexibility is so great. So they have no fear of their body, and they can control whatever they want. It helps them get out of uncomfortable positions in amateur wrestling. So we have incorporated all that. So with amateur wrestling, can you do high flying? We call it razzle dazzle. We may call it, the funk. So they'll learn some moves that have funk or a little bit high flying to it in amateur wrestling, not like the high flying that you see in pro wrestling, but it helps them be able to become more of a successful amateur wrestler. Now, what we do is we take that, say if you want to become a professional wrestler now. So now that you have the athletic ability of an amateur wrestler and some part of of gymnastics in your background, now you go into professional wrestling. All right, you know how to work a body part. You know what it takes. You have the work ethic of an amateur wrestler. You have no fear of a gymnast. Now you have the perfect recipe of a professional wrestler. And that's what I'm also building out towards, like say with my sons or with their teammates as well. So, it comes all, you just can't stop and be one-minded and say, okay, we're only going to learn this and this. You got to be able to open your mind up and be able to say, okay, what can make us a better athlete, all well-rounded? And so you got to be able to be open-minded to accept little things from different areas that'll make you the best, because each body type is different. Each style is different, and that style may not relate to you, but the other style might. So we got to find out what works best for you, what makes you more successful.
Well, you make a good point that a lot of guys who want to get into professional wrestling should think about too, because a lot of times they get so concentrated on wanting to build up their body and get big build muscles and that kind of thing and look great and all that. The problem with that is that's kind of backwards from you mentioned that you get that flexibility first and then you build the muscle. Yeah. If you just build the muscle, you can actually be a detriment to you being too bulky and not having the flexibility.
No, you're 100% right, James. I mean that's where a lot of injuries take place. That's where a lot of wrestlers they have the right build, but they never have the career or the success that you thought they would have because they never had the flexibility. Let's see, RVD.
That's why you see so many guys on the shelf right now.
Exactly, you're 100%, sir. 100%. Like look at Rob Van Dam. Yeah. Very successful career. Just got inducted into the Hall of Fame. But dude, I swear before every match, he would probably stretch a good 30, 40 minutes. And that was his key of knowing that he never got injured. I mean, he always stretched. Stretching, you got to stretch. You got to have that flexibility. You have to, and you got to maintain it. Because as you travel throughout this career and as you travel throughout time, your body starts to get arthritis. You may have you're gonna have injuries that are gonna become scar tissue. They're gonna have scar tissue over those injuries, and so you need to keep your flexibility. You got to keep that range of motion. You got to be able to do all that. If not, you're going to be, what do you call it? You're going to be all stoved up, and you're going to be hunched over, and you're not going to be able to be as successful as you are. You got to be able to, adapt. And when I mean to adapt, it means to change your different workout regimens. So.
Yeah, we see so many guys now in the professional business that start out and have they make a big name for themselves, and then 6 months later they're on the shelf. They're either out of the business, or their momentum is stopped, and they don't make any progress after that, and they have to make a comeback, and some of them don't ever come back. And I think that is exactly why that happens a lot of times. That plus trying things that they probably shouldn't try.
No, you're 100%. I mean, here's the deal. It's like, all right, I am an amateur wrestler. That's my foundation. Okay. From the great state of Oklahoma, I've learned from the best. John Smith, Kenny Monday. All my workout partners, everyone, they're the best. So when I go into the ring, I'm not going to try to do a flip over the top rope. I'm not going to try to do a 619. I'm not going to do a 450. That's what somebody else is good at. That's what they've been trained to do. All right. Okay. Yeah, it gets a big pop. Here's the deal. A lot of wrestlers today, they want to wrestle for the pop. They want to wrestle. Oh, did you hear that pop? Or did you hear? And what I mean by pop is the crowd reaction. Did you hear the crowd reaction? Okay. So they're wrestling for the move. That's the wrong mentality. The mentality is the outcome of the match. The mentality is who is held victorious, who has their hand raised. Okay. So, and the sticking to your game plan. All right. So if I have a high flyer, I know I'm going to ground him. I'm going to take his legs out. I'm going to take his core out, and I'm going to keep him on the ground. Because if I have a guy that's 7 feet tall like Kaz, I'm going to keep him on the ground. Because I know once he gets to his feet, it's going to be all hell to pay. If I keep him on the ground and I break him down and I keep him on the ground, then he's down to my size or lower. Then I have a better chance of whipping his ass. Okay. A high flyer.
Well,
Go ahead.
You just brought something. Go ahead, and then we'll talk about Kaz.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And then with a high flyer, the more they are up doing what they do best in the air, and the harder it is for me to get my hands on them, then the opportunity swings in their way. So what I do is I ground you. And I pound you. It's a ground and pound, it's whether it's by taking your leg, an arm, your back. Hell, I've even done it to where I've worked a guy's eye the whole match, where I blinded them, and that way, because where you can't see, you can't go anywhere. So people don't do that. I've mastered it to where I'll blind someone, and I will work their eyeball and keep them from seeing, and then I will go ahead and capitalize it and pinning them by working their eye. So.
We get a lot of comments, a lot of questions about what makes Charlie Haas tick, and why Charlie Haas does what he does and says what he says and acts the way he acts and all that kind of thing. I think tonight we're kind of getting some of that, and maybe some questions are being answered by some of these people who are listening to this. And I think that's important because they need to know that if they want to know it now, they're hearing it from the horse's mouth. But you brought up Kaz, and it's not just Kaz, but we've got guys like Blood Hunter, we've got Gangrel. You already talked about Rodney Mack, Wes Briscoe. There's another amateur guy that's just joined SWE Fury. We've got a lot of guys that are coming in here now that are ready to compete and look like they want to step up to a challenge themselves, even if these guys that you're challenging that are radio stars don't want to step up. These guys are definitely stepping up.
No, Wes Briscoe, man. I know his dad was very influential in getting me into the WWE. My brother, he was very influential in getting my brother and I signed with WWE. We're family, and I'm very happy to see him part of the SWE crew. I do know that it'll probably come down to where we're gonna have to wrestle and lock horns. But you know what? That's what is great about SWE. That I am a champion that will not back down to anybody. I will accept anybody's challenge that there is. Any challenge anyone has, I'll accept. SWE will give it to me. I want to fight.
That's interesting. It's interesting that you say that because we named all those names and then you brought Wes up. Do you see Wes as the biggest challenge for you because of the amateur background? Is that what it is?
Did you hear me?
Did you hear me? I lost you there, Charlie. I don't know what happened there. Hannibal may have to step in and push a button or something.
I think he's going to pop in and out.
Okay.
Let's just talk while he's popping in and out. There's another big match. Ivali's taking on Christy Janes this weekend. That's pretty exciting. And Blood Hunter, who just defeated Sabu on the weekend, as well as another wrestler earlier on in the night.
Ooh, yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
He beat Sabu, but he didn't get out of there unharmed.
That got a little rough, and you know, I kind of wonder about Selena, what kind of condition she's in after taking another table like that, and she didn't have anybody to land on. Sabu left the premises before that happened.
No, I mean, they took this picture. She was walking out of there with a cane and her ribs were taped up. But the thing with them is all they care about is keeping that gold, I think. And it's going to be the same thing this weekend. Whoever they end up facing at the Statler Hotel, Pat Ortega, who looks like a big boy. So could be an interesting match.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Even though I'm the director of talent here, I'm not familiar with Pat either. He's been suggested to us as a challenger, and because of who suggested it, we're going to give him a shot, and we'll see what happens. But he's got his work cut out for him if he gets in the ring with Blood Hunter. No question about that, because everybody that's gotten in there so far has come out with a little bit sore than they were when they went in. He and Rodney Mack tore up a rodeo arena the other night. And that's the only match he's had that didn't have a definitive outcome, really.
Yeah, and that's going to be a very interesting event because it's the same production people handling that event that handled the production. And I'll put the picture up right now of the completely sold out crowd last weekend. Yeah. And from the little bit of footage that we've released so far, there's been nothing but positive comments about the difference in production, and they're handling the production this weekend at the Statler Hotel, which I got to hang out with Lacey there on the weekend, who's also going to be at that event. And it's a remarkable hotel. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Lacey is a different cat too. Interesting. But that's going to be a fun night because it's a special event. It's not a regular TV taping, but it's going to be highly produced, and I think people are going to enjoy being there and seeing what we've got. And you know, speaking of that, and I'm so proud of that production.
I'm back.
There you are, Charlie. Okay, yeah, we kind of took off on something to wait on you there. What we were talking about is some of the guys that were competing in SWE Fury now, and you know, we mentioned some of them: Kaz, Blood Hunter, Roddy Mack, all those guys. When I mentioned Wes Briscoe, you brought his name back up, and what makes me curious is, do you see Wes as your biggest challenge? Is that because of his amateur background, or are you just somebody you respect? Is that what it's doing?
No. I mean, first of all, let's put everybody on the SW roster. The Blood Hunter. I mean, that's a different type of cat, man. Different type of animal. I've never even gone into those type of matches that he does. So would he a big challenge? Yes. Everybody on the roster would be a big challenge for Charlie Haas. Does that mean that I'd lose? No. That means I'd have to go into a different part of my life or a different part deep down in my soul to become a different person, to be able to defend the title, to be successful. Yeah, it'll probably be pretty scary if I had to fight somebody like a Blood Hunter. With Wes Briscoe, I'm going to have to really rely on my amateur wrestling. I'm going to have to really just know that I have more experience than he does, and I will have to just pull that out. Everybody on the roster, that's what is different about SWE. Everybody on the roster poses a threat to everybody else. Me, I'm no exception. All right? I'm just better at what I do. All right? And I will prove it. I could see him being my thorn in the side. I could see him, you know, and I know our family is broken bread, and they've done more than, you know, the Briscoes have done more for me and my family than I could ever even possibly. I mean, going back before my brother died. But, you know, let's face it, man. It's about making money, not making friends, right? Friends don't pay bills. So
truth.
And that's the truth. When it comes to Big Kaz, you know what? He's trying to, you know, use me as a stepping stone to go somewhere. That ain't going to happen. He can go to step, and I'm going to break that leg. All right, that's that. Mantell, you know, God bless him, man. He's a hell of a competitor. He's just not ready yet. So, but West Briscoe, I see this going to be, I see this in the future going to be one hell of a match, man, and it's going to be something you don't want to miss.
We've talked a lot about competition, and that's definitely what we have here in SW Fury for sure.
Yeah.
But we were talking a little bit when you were out for a second there that about the production and how much that's changed and how it's upgraded and unbelievable. The atmosphere the other night was incredible, and I'm so proud of that. And we just got news today that WC, the network and channel 33 in Dallas, we've been on kind of a late night deal there. Starting in June, we're going to move to 10 o'clock on Saturday nights, which is, if anybody recognizes what that means, that's the old world class hour. So we're really proud of the fact that we're going to move into a probably a little bit more amenable hour for wrestling fans to watch, and we're excited that the TV stations are seeing something in us that want to put us out there and represent them as well. It's just a great feeling to know that we're making that kind of impact, not just in Dallas. It's happening in a lot of other places too, but especially in Dallas, in our hometown here. We're going to be on at 10 o'clock starting in June, 10 o'clock on Saturday night. And, man, that's an incredible thing to know.
Dude, that's great. You know what that means? That everyone's doing their part. Now, the production, if anyone hasn't seen it, the production's, it is top notch. It's like, it's great. It actually, it just makes the roster that much better. All right. I mean, here's the people that don't get enough credit. The cameramen. All right. Brian in particular, who's one of the top cameramen. Let's talk about Bob out there as the announcer, him and Kevin Sullivan, the announcers, Aaron Presley, the in-ring announcer. You have you got the music. You got the guy that puts everything together in the back that's telling which cameras to move on which. I mean, it's a work in progress, but it's a team. There's no I in team. This is a team commitment by SWE. It's what goes on in the back. All right. This is what, if it wasn't for them, we couldn't be able to do what we're doing. We couldn't be here talking to you or to Hannibal right now. I mean, so those guys don't get enough credit. They don't get it all. All right. That's what makes us.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, I agree that it is a team effort, and there's a lot of people involved in that. I mean, there's no way we can name all of them that contribute to that. But
I may be
I hope they know that we appreciate it. Yeah,
I may be a dick in real life, but at least I know where to give credit where credit is due. So I got to give credit to them. So.
Right, and I should say too, the TV nights are tough, and they're long a lot of times. And I was really proud the other night because it was right at 10 o'clock. We were done.
Yeah, dude, it was.
So it wasn't. Yeah, and that's a big accomplishment. Things have smoothed out to the point and getting better to the point to where everything's running so much better and so much smoother that the night goes by faster. The crowd can stay with us now, and it's everything's just getting better. It's that simple.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, like I said, it's a team effort, and that's what it is. That's what I love about SWE. I mean, you look at the roster up and down, man. Everybody on that roster, looks like they whoop someone's ass. Ladies, gentlemen, whatever it is. And dude, I want to say the tag team wrestling is unbelievable. And I'm a tag team specialist. That's what I came in on. I love watching the tag teams. The way they work, it's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. And they don't.
I'm getting contacted by a lot of tag teams right now. Yeah, that's a division that I really want to try to build. There's something that we haven't really concentrated on as much as we intended to and want to. I know that's a special part of your life is a tag team. You and Shelton were an incredible tag team, and I know that means a lot to you. So I'm hoping that we can get that division kind of pumped up a little bit more. I know we've got Jackson Crimson coming back on our next TV taping. I'll be getting calls from several other very prominent tag teams around the country that want to come in, and I'm hoping we can get that thing going and rolling, and that can be a part of our legacy as well.
I know what I mean, and that would be something different than what any other organization has, because no one concentrates on. Everyone's just like, okay, we're going to go and concentrate on the heavyweight title or the television title, but no one concentrates on all those titles. You do that, James, SWE is going to be just that much different than everybody else, all right, where every title means something. And we have the potential to do that. And there's no reason why we can't, especially when we have people like Tom Lance, Jason Jarrett, yourself, Teddy Long, Kevin Sullivan. When you have those type of people that have been around and knows what it is to be successful, then we should be able to showcase every title and make that successful.
The amazing thing about all that and all those names, and we all come from different places and different experiences and all that, but when it all boils down, nearly all of us, and including yourself, I know you well enough to know this, all of us have basically the same philosophy about wrestling. And I think that means something, that we're all on that same page. We may have different ideas about things, specific things, but the overall philosophy of what we're trying to present and how we're trying to present it, I think we're all pretty much on the same page on that. And that makes things so much better and so much easier to work with everybody.
100%. 100%. That's why SWE is the talk of the town. That's why we're the toast. And it's 100% because we all have one vision. We may have different ways to get there, but we have one vision, so.
This Saturday night, you've got Mantell. We've talked about that. We've got that I'm looking forward to that. And this is something I'm looking forward to too. Christy James and Ivelisse, is that how she pronounces that, Hannibal? I think that's right. Ivelisse. I'll get it right one of these days. Like I said, I've met her and I've worked on the same card with her a couple of times. She is an incredible competitor. She's another one of those gals that can get in there, and she got some MMA background. She can shoot it with them too. So I'm looking forward to that. Rodney Mack will be there.
Let me shout out to Christy James because she's another one that doesn't get enough credit. She is, she is one hell of a talent. She backs up everything she says, everything she does in the ring. It's exciting to watch her. She connects with the fans, and she delivers. She delivers, and that's hard to find today. But you know what? People have to take notice because I'll tell you, women's wrestling is as good or better than the men's wrestling. All right.
In a lot of cases, yes.
In a lot of cases. And dude, there's a lot. I love watching the women's wrestling because, I see a move. I may take that move and try to tweak it to make it my own, and that's watching the women. It's just like you have to watch everybody because someone out there has something different to offer. And that's what makes SWE Fury that much better. Christy James is a hell of a talent. She's doing a great job as a women's champion. And I'm glad to have her part of our roster. I really am. Yeah,
she surprises me sometimes because she'll come up with some kind of move. She's very athletic. She's sneaky athletic. She comes up with some moves sometimes that I'm like, I didn't know she could do that. And she does it when she just needs to do it. She's kind of like you were talking about. You do what you got to do to win, and that's what matters.
The thing is you know how you become successful in wrestling? You don't think about it. You just do it. Whatever your reaction is, you just go with. When you start thinking about it, people can see you're thinking, and that no matter what sport, it's like how much you got to be able to take the information, process it, and you have to deliver it right away. If you start thinking about it, you're gonna get beat. You get beat really quick. You can't think. You just got to react. And that's what she does. That's why she's successful. She reacts.
Very good.
What's the rest of that card Saturday night? I know that this is really a special event. Saturday during the day, some of the SW stars are going to be at the guitar show, which is at the I think I don't remember what the name of the building is now. But and we got a graphic on that, whatever it is. But,
the guitar show. I'll put it up right now. I think it's the Friday night before. Lacey, Teddy Long, and Christy James are going to be at this guitar festival Friday, April 30th, 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. They only have 3 matches announced so far. Charlie Haas against Mantell, Christy against Ivelisse, Blood Hunter with Selena against Pat Ortega. But if you look at the poster, the tag team champions are going to be there. Niles is going to be there. Rodney Mack. It's a stacked card, and it's in the ballroom at the Statler Hotel, unique location. The same production company is going to be there. Some of the matches, from my understanding, are going to air on YouTube, but it's always better to be there live. and I think tickets are very reasonable. So you can go to swefury.com for more information on that. And is there anything you want to say to close this off, Charlie, about your match coming up?
All right, we hit on all the different aspects of SW Fury, all different aspects of wrestling. Let's get back. Jake, Logan Paul, I'm still calling you out. Cormier, if you want to jump in there, it'd be a good tune-up match for me. I'm calling you out too. Seriously.
I can promise you, Charlie Haas is serious about this, folks.
I'm not joking. I'm dead serious.
Yeah, I know.
This is what it's about.
I know you pretty well. I know you're dead serious about it.
Yep, this is what it's about, and that's what I'm doing. I'm calling you out. So this is the second time I've done it. If I don't hear a call back, then you know what? Maybe I have to do a national campaign to get somebody to return my call. But anyways, contact SWE Management if you have a problem. If you do want to make this work, SWE Management, Tom Lance, Jason Jarrett, or hell, even called, James Beard, Tim, whoever.
Yeah, we'll make it happen.
Help do it. So please call us.
Yep.
That's it, man. I will see you guys May 1st, man. Mantel,